Something's off, and most men feel it but can't name it. Not looks, not money, not even confidence the way you've been told. There's a male behavior pattern, one rooted deep in evolutionary attraction, that women respond to before they even realize it. David Buss spent decades studying female selection across cultures, and what he found will completely rewire how you see attraction dynamics. This isn't theory, this is biology meeting strategy. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every detail you carry, the way you move, respond, hold your ground, is either triggering something primal in her or erasing you from her radar entirely. If this kind of raw, real knowledge is something you believe more men deserve access to, go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. It costs nothing, but it could change everything for someone in your circle. Now, let's get into the one pattern that changes everything. The only male pattern that triggers female desire. David Buss, Evolutionary Psychology. There's something that happens in the space between two people that nobody really talks about. It's not romantic chemistry. It's not physical attraction in the traditional sense. It's something far more primal. Female psychology doesn't operate on conscious logic the way most men assume. Women aren't sitting down, making a checklist, and deciding to feel drawn to someone. The pull happens underneath all of that. It happens fast, quietly, and almost always before a single word is spoken. That's where the real game begins. David Buss, one of the most respected researchers in evolutionary psychology, spent over 3 decades studying what women actually respond to across different cultures, different continents, different socioeconomic backgrounds. And what he consistently found wasn't about abs or bank accounts. It was about behavioral cues, specific, repeatable patterns in how a man carries himself, responds to pressure, and positions himself in a social environment. These aren't random. They're deeply encoded signals that the female brain has been reading for thousands of years. Here's where it gets interesting. Most men are unknowingly broadcasting signals all the time, and the majority of those signals are working against them. Every hesitation, every over-explanation, every nervous laugh in the wrong moment, these are all data points that the female brain is processing in real time. Subconscious triggers don't need a grand gesture to fire. They fire on the small stuff, the micro moments, the pauses, the way a man reacts or doesn't react when the social pressure is on. That's what she's actually reading. Think about the concept of sexual polarity. It's one of the most underrated forces in attraction, and yet it's working constantly in every interaction between men and women. When a man's energy is clear, grounded, and unapologetically masculine, it creates a natural contrast with feminine energy. And that contrast generates attraction. It's not about being aggressive or dominant in a loud way. It's about being settled, comfortable in your own skin, not needing the room to validate you. That quiet, rooted quality is more magnetic than most men realize. Buss's research points to something called status perception, and it's crucial to understand what status actually means in this context. It's not just wealth or social rank. Status, in evolutionary terms, is about perceived competence and composure. A man who handles a tense situation with calm clarity is signaling high status to the female brain, even if he's wearing a plain t-shirt and driving an average car. Attraction psychology responds to how a man handles himself, not just what he has. That distinction changes everything. Here's a practical example. 2 men walk into the same room. One scans the room quickly, adjusts his posture when he sees someone he wants to impress, and laughs a little too hard at a joke that wasn't that funny. The other walks in at his own pace, finds a spot, and engages only when it genuinely interests him. He's not cold, he's selective. That selectivity is a dominant signal. It communicates that his attention has value, and the moment his attention has value, desire triggers in the female brain begin to activate without her even choosing it. This isn't manipulation. Let's be clear about that. What Buss identified in his research is that primal instincts are simply responding to honest signals. When a man develops genuine emotional control, real groundedness, authentic presence, he's not tricking anyone. He's becoming the kind of man that evolution has always recognized as worth choosing. The shift isn't about performing strength, it's about building it. And that distinction between performance and reality is something women detect with remarkable accuracy almost every single time. So what does this pattern actually look like in practice? It starts with something called masculine frame. And no, it's not about being stoic to the point of being robotic. Frame is the internal structure a man carries into every interaction. It's his sense of self that doesn't bend under social pressure, emotional chaos, or feminine testing. When a man has a solid frame, he doesn't need to announce it. People feel it. Women feel it especially. It's the invisible architecture of everything that makes him attractive without a single word spoken. One of the most powerful and most overlooked aspects of masculine energy is the ability to be fully present without being needy. Most men confuse attention with connection. They give too much attention, too fast, too eagerly, and in doing so, they drain the very tension that makes attraction possible. Attention dynamics are a real force. When a man's attention feels abundant and cheap, it loses value immediately. But when it feels earned, when she senses that not everyone gets this version of him, everything shifts. Scarcity isn't a trick, it's a signal. Let's talk about validation control, because this one quietly destroys more potential attraction than almost anything else. When a man constantly seeks approval, through jokes, through over-explanation, through checking her reaction after everything he says, he's telegraphing insecurity directly to her subconscious. Female psychology is wired to notice this, not to punish it, but to respond to it. And the response is a slow, almost invisible withdrawal of interest. She can't help it. It's not cruelty. It's biology, reading a signal and responding accordingly. Stop seeking validation. Start radiating it. Here's where storytelling meets science. There was a man, smart, successful by most standards, genuinely kind, who couldn't understand why women he was deeply interested in always seemed to lose interest after the first few interactions. He wasn't doing anything wrong on the surface, but what he didn't realize was that his behavioral cues were broadcasting low perceived value in subtle, consistent ways. He texted back instantly every time. He agreed with everything. He laughed nervously when conversations got tense. He was, without knowing it, making himself smaller in every exchange. That man decided to study what he was actually projecting versus what he thought he was projecting. He started reading Buss's work. The Evolution of Desire is one of the most eye-opening books a man can pick up on this subject. And something clicked. He wasn't lacking confidence exactly, he was lacking calibration. Confidence calibration isn't about faking boldness. It's about understanding which signals you're sending and consciously aligning them with genuine self-assurance. He began to slow down, to pause before responding, to hold his position in conversations. And the difference in how women engaged with him was almost immediate. Social proof is another layer of this pattern that Buss's research consistently highlights. Humans are deeply social creatures, and the female brain, wired by evolution, pays close attention to how others respond to a man. A man who is respected, engaged, and valued by those around him carries an invisible signal of high value. This doesn't mean surrounding yourself with fake admirers. It means genuinely investing in your relationships, your reputation, your presence in your community. When she sees other people drawn to you naturally, her own primal instincts activate in response. That's not strategy, that's evolution. And here's something that most men in the self-improvement space get completely backwards. Masculine presence isn't built in interactions with women. It's built in every other area of a man's life first. The discipline in the gym, the focus at work, the standards he keeps in his friendships, the way he treats his own time as valuable, all of these things quietly shape the internal foundation that eventually radiates outward. Attraction dynamics aren't created in the moment of interaction. They're the result of everything a man has been building in private, long before she ever showed up. Let's get specific for a second. If you want to start actively developing behavioral dominance, not aggression, but the quiet authority that comes from being genuinely grounded, here are real entry points. Start with Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is free online and will rewire how you handle pressure. Study body language. Joe Navarro's work on nonverbal communication is practical and research-backed. These aren't quick fixes. They're investments in the kind of man whose masculine energy is felt before he opens his mouth. That's the standard worth building toward. There's a concept in evolutionary psychology called mate value signaling, and it operates on a level most men never consciously access. Every choice a man makes, from how he dresses to how he handles disagreement, is a signal being broadcast into his environment. Female selection over thousands of years has been exquisitely tuned to read these signals. The woman who seems like she's casually glancing across the room. She's not just glancing. Her brain is running an assessment that she doesn't even have conscious access to. The question is, what is your signal actually saying? And if everything being unpacked here is starting to shift the way you see yourself, if these ideas are landing in a place that feels like finally someone is saying what I've been sensing, then don't let this moment pass without acting on it. Hit that like button right now. Not later, not after the next video, right now. Because the men who act on insight the moment it hits are exactly the kind of men this channel is built for. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and lock yourself into this content. This community is growing fast, and what's coming next will go even deeper. Don't be the guy who finds this channel and then forgets to come back. The information keeps building, and so should you. Now, back to the pattern. One of the most counterintuitive truths in attraction psychology is that a woman's interest is almost never lost in a single dramatic moment. It erodes, gradually, through a series of small signals that quietly accumulate over time. A man who over-explains his decisions, a man who cancels his own plans to be available, a man who shrinks in the face of mild pushback. These aren't catastrophic failures, they're small fractures in the masculine frame. And left unaddressed, they compound into a version of himself that no longer triggers the triggers she once felt. This is why emotional control isn't just a personality trait. It's a core attraction mechanism. When a man can hold his composure in moments of tension, uncertainty, or emotional provocation, he's signaling something extraordinarily powerful to the female brain. He's signaling safety through strength, not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. Women are not attracted to numbness. They're attracted to a man who feels deeply but isn't controlled by what he feels. That combination, depth with stability, is one of the most powerful subconscious triggers in human mating psychology. Let's bring Buss back into the center for a moment. His cross-cultural studies revealed something that cut through every social narrative about attraction. Women, regardless of culture, consistently prioritized men who demonstrated resource acquisition ability, ambition, and social dominance. But here's the nuance most people miss. It was never about having those things necessarily. It was about signaling the capacity for them. A young man with direction, discipline, and clear purpose activates the same evolutionary attraction circuits as an established man of status. The signal matters more than the current reality. This brings up something uncomfortable but necessary. Most men are operating at a fraction of their actual perceived value, simply because they've never been taught to manage their signal intentionally. They're brilliant, capable, genuinely good men, but they're broadcasting in a frequency that the female brain doesn't register as high value. And the tragedy is that it's not about who they are, it's about the gap between who they are and what they're communicating. Closing that gap isn't deception, it's alignment. It's becoming on the outside the man you already are on the inside. Silent attraction is perhaps the most sophisticated concept in this entire framework, and the most powerful once a man truly internalizes it. It refers to the magnetic pull created not by what a man says, but by the cumulative weight of how he exists in a space, his posture, his pace, his willingness to let silence sit without rushing to fill it, his ability to hold eye contact without flinching. None of these things require a script. They require presence. And presence is built through daily practice, through discipline, through choosing discomfort over comfort consistently. Here's a practical challenge. For the next 7 days, pay deliberate attention to 3 things in every social interaction: how quickly you respond, how often you seek approval, and how you handle moments of light tension or disagreement. Don't change anything yet, just observe. Most men are genuinely shocked by what they notice when they start paying attention to their own behavioral cues with this level of clarity. Self-awareness is the first real act of confidence calibration, and it costs absolutely nothing except a willingness to be honest with yourself about what you're currently broadcasting. Once a man begins to genuinely understand attraction dynamics, something unexpected happens. His relationship with himself starts to change first. He stops performing for external approval. He starts making decisions from a place of internal clarity rather than fear of rejection. He becomes, almost naturally, more deliberate, more grounded, more interesting. And here's the irony. The less he's trying to attract, the more attractive he becomes. This isn't a paradox. It's the natural result of masculine energy operating from abundance rather than scarcity, from wholeness rather than need. The man from the story earlier? He stopped trying to be what he thought women wanted and started building what he actually respected in himself. He committed to physical discipline. He got serious about his professional direction. He started holding his positions in conversations without apologizing for his perspective. Slowly, the social proof around him changed. People responded to him differently, and women, without him chasing, without him performing, began to notice him in a way they hadn't before, not because he became someone else, because he finally became more of himself. This is what David Buss's research ultimately points toward. The most powerful version of male behavior isn't constructed, it's revealed. It emerges when a man strips away the anxious performing, the approval-seeking, the shrinking, and operates from the core of who he actually is. Female psychology doesn't respond to the mask. It responds to the signal beneath it. And the signal beneath it, when it's genuinely strong, genuinely grounded, genuinely alive, is one of the most irresistible forces in human nature. No manipulation required. Just truth, expressed through every layer of how a man shows up. The work, then, is not about learning tricks. It's not about memorizing lines or following scripts designed to manufacture desire triggers artificially. The real work is internal. It's about developing the kind of masculine presence that doesn't need external validation to feel solid. It's about building genuine emotional control, real ambition, authentic standards. It's about becoming a man whose default state is so grounded, so purposeful, so quietly powerful, that female selection responds not to something he's doing, but to something he simply is. That's the pattern. That's the only one that actually lasts. And the beautiful truth about all of this is that it's available to every man willing to do the real work. Not the work of performance, the work of becoming. Because at the end of the day, what evolutionary attraction is actually responding to isn't a set of techniques. It's a man who has looked honestly at himself, committed to growth without apology, and built something real in the silence where no one was watching. That man doesn't need to chase, he doesn't need to convince. He simply shows up and the room feels it. She feels it, without a single word being said. So here's the real question, and be honest with yourself when you answer it. Are you currently showing up as the man that you would respect? Not the man you perform for others, not the version of you that's trying to say the right thing or be what someone else needs. The actual you, grounded, purposeful, emotionally solid, because that's the man this entire conversation has been pointing toward. Everything David Buss uncovered, every pattern, every signal, every layer of evolutionary attraction, it all leads back to one truth. The man who wins isn't the one who chases the hardest. It's the one who builds the deepest. And building that version of yourself starts with a single decision, made today, not tomorrow. So what's your next move? Are you going to keep running the same patterns? Or are you going to start closing the gap between the man you are and the man you're capable of being? Drop a comment right now. Tell me, where are you starting? Write, "I'm building" in the comments. That's it. 2 words. A declaration to yourself more than anyone else. Let's see who's actually ready. And if you made it here, genuinely, thank you. Not just for watching, but for being the kind of man who seeks this type of knowledge. That alone puts you ahead of most. This content takes real time and care to put together, and knowing it's landing with men who are truly ready to grow, that means everything. If this gave you something real today, please hit that like button. It helps more men find this content. Share it with someone in your circle who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what's coming next goes even deeper into the psychology of attraction, masculine identity, and the kind of growth that actually changes your life. We're just getting started, and so are you.